Hey guys, what's going on? DJ Demand here, back here with another video. And today's video is going to be my end of the year review for 2020, just like I did in 2019. Now, for those that don't know what this is where I just kind of talk about my year, what my year was like here in 2020. And just for future reference for myself, this video is being recorded on December 23rd, 2020. So we still got a few days left in the year, but I thought I'd go ahead and knock this video out. So if I'm being honest with you guys, personally, 2020 has been pretty good to me. Definitely not the greatest year and definitely not the most eventful one, but overall it's been a good year in my personal life. I am focusing in on the fact that I'm talking about my personal life. The reason why I'm really trying to put the emphasis on the fact that I'm talking about my personal life is because that I know in general that 2020 has not been a good year. Like, people have coined the term that this year has been a dumpster fire. And like I said earlier, personally it hasn't been that eventful for me, but in general, there's been a lot of stuff that's went down this year. This year is definitely going in the history books. And by me saying that I had a pretty good year personally doesn't mean that I'm trying to be disingenuous to those that have not had a very good year whatsoever. Like, my heart truly goes out to those that have, lost their job, fighting for unemployment, trying to find new work, for people that have lost their family members, lost friends because of the virus, for those that have lost their livelihood, their business, whether it be because of the economy and not being able to keep their business open, or because of them literally being destroyed by the riots. My heart truly goes out to you. But with that said, I had a pretty decent year, personally. So before I really get into the meat and potatoes of what happened to me in 2020, I want to go over my New Year's resolutions / goals that I had for 2020 that I listed out in my previous year's video, my 2019 video. Was I able to meet my goals? Was I able to hit my New Year's resolutions? Let's talk about that really quick. So one of the things I said in last year's video is that 2020 will be better than 2019. Yeah, that definitely didn't happen. The next thing I have here is that I wanted to weigh between 150 and 160 by June. Yeah, that definitely didn't happen either. In fact, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think when I said that in last year's video, I was sitting around 205, and right now I'm sitting at around 202. So I think, but we'll get into that whole weight loss stuff a little later on in the video. So another goal I had set for myself last year was that I wanted to save enough money to be in a position to where if I needed to move out, I could. And I was actually able to hit that goal. So good job to me. I was able to save up enough money to where if I need to move out, like right this very moment, I have the money saved up to where I would be in a nice, comfortable position. And let's just say I have enough saved up to where, let's say if I was to lose my job, I would probably be okay for a good 3-4 months before it would become like uh-oh territory. So another goal that I have for myself, a very obvious one might I add, is to get a new job, and not just to get a new job, but get one that paid more than my previous job. And for those that don't remember or just never watched my last year's video, I actually was laid off at the very end of the year. So 2 weeks before the end of the year, I was told that I was going to be laid off. So right before my birthday, right before Christmas, right before New Year's, I was told I was going to be jobless. And that definitely put me down in the dumps. I'm not going to get into really details on why they let me go. I talked about that in the previous video. It's nothing that I did, but it still really sucked. But I'm getting off track here. So I was down in the dumps, but I wasn't down in the dumps for very long for multiple reasons. One is that I had the cushion of that I was still living at home, and I still am. So that was a very, very helpful cushion to knowing that I was going to be losing my job. Another thing is that I just knew that staying down in the dumps wasn't going to fix anything. Like, when has staying like sad and down in the dumps ever fixed anything? It really hasn't. So I believe it's okay to stay sad about things for a while, but eventually you got to get back on your feet, and the sooner the better. The third reason being is because of my family and because of my coworkers. When it comes to family, they were just very supportive. They're like, hey, don't worry about it. You'll just find a new job. It's not a big deal. And when it comes to coworkers, they were extremely, extremely helpful, and I am just so thankful for them. Because one of them was like, hey, give me your resume, I'll look it over and we'll make sure it looks, really, really good. And then another coworker was like, hey, once you do that, give me your resume and I'll send it off to somebody that's looking for people to come work for them. And that's exactly what I did. Gave my resume to one of my coworkers. They looked it over, and then once he looked it over and gave me the okay, I gave it to my other coworker. They sent it off to the person that was looking for, people to come work for them. And the next thing I knew, I was getting a email saying, hey, apply for this job so we can set up an interview for you. I went and did the interview, and the next thing I knew, I had the job. And so I started working January 20th. So I was out the job for less than 3 weeks. Now, I'm not going to go into super duper detail about my job just yet. I'll do that in a little bit here because I want to finish going over the different goals and New Year's resolutions from last year. But I just want to say here that I felt extremely blessed. In fact, I still feel extremely blessed, and that God was definitely looking over me when, to have such a quick turnaround to finding a new job. And he was also not just finding a new job, but there's two other things that I feel really, really blessed about. But we'll talk about that in just a second here, a little later. So another goal that I had was to get myself a new girlfriend. Because for those that don't remember or didn't watch last year's video, I was actually dumped back in August of 2019. And so did I end up with a new girlfriend this year? No. And of course, the main reason being Corona, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The two last goals that I had set for myself was that I wanted to upload more often, which I did end up doing, but not to the greatest quality videos, but I did upload more often. And the very last thing that I had for a goal that I had was to get some more certificates or to further my education a bit. And I didn't do that at all. I was just extremely lazy. And we'll talk about that a little later on in the video too. So now that we've gone over my goals and resolutions from last year, let's go ahead and talk about what my 2020 was like. So again, I started the year off jobless, but then it was a very quick turnaround to getting a job and I started working on January 20th. The job that I got ended up being a online IT job where basically if people call in with their issues, and I do my best to try to help them out. I was in training for a few weeks, from going up to like the classroom to learn about the corporation, to shadowing people, to where we switched off to where someone was shadowing me as I was taking calls, and then eventually I was taking calls on my own at the beginning of March. But as you guys know, March is when Corona really started to hit. So by the end of March, early April, I was actually moved from working in the office to working from home. And I absolutely love it. Like, I love working from home, but we'll get into all that a little bit later. I want to rewind the clock a little bit back to the end of January, early February really quick. So in late January, early February is when I decided to get back into the online dating game again. Because again, like I just mentioned, I was dumped back in August. In between August and December, I wanted to go ahead and focus on myself. So I went ahead and dropped down like 30 pounds from where I was. I was sitting at around 240 in August, and I was down to around 210, 205 by December. And so that's when I decided in late January, early February, that it'd be a good time to go ahead and try to jump back into the dating game. I was able to go out on a few dates, but as you guys know, March is when Corona was really starting to hit, so the dating thing kind of went out the window. So what happened between April and June? Well, again, in early April is when I started working from home, and again, I absolutely love it. I just love working from home. Not having to deal with the morning traffic, not having to deal with afternoon traffic. I pretty much get like an extra hour of sleep. When I get off work, I'm already home. I'm saving so much money on gas, and I'm not putting any wear and tear on my car. And just having that freedom of working from home, it's just so nice. I never want to go back to the office. Like, there's almost no reason for me to either, because it's like, as long as my work isn't suffering from me working at home, then then I don't see any reason why I should have to go back to the office. So let's go ahead and move from talking about work to talking about what was going on in my personal life between April and June. And honestly, not much of anything, mainly because of Corona. Like, it would have been nice to maybe rent out another, lake house from Airbnb like I did last year with my friends. But again, Corona. Or another thing, would have been nice to go to another anime con, but again, none of those were open. Those were all shut down. So just not a lot was going on in my personal life. I think I may have met up with my friends maybe like once during that time, and we got together and we went to Mammoth Cave. And we didn't do the cave part, we just walked the park surrounding the cave. Well, I guess something else I did between April and June was that I played a few more video games than I normally would, I guess. I think I played, what was it, Resident Evil 3, Sonic Forces, which was in my backlog for like the longest time, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Darksiders 1 and 2, and, well, Mega Man 11, and The Last of Us Part 2, or was that in July? That might have been July. Oh yeah, I also started getting back into working out again, because between January and March I just really didn't work out, and I actually gained some weight back that I had lost, because at the beginning of the year I was sitting at around 205, but by April I was sitting back at around 220. And I was like, yo, I don't want to get back up to 240 again, so let me go ahead and get back into this whole workout thing again. So I based my workout on the One Punch Man challenge, because I think at the time I was watching a bunch of people do the challenge themselves, and that's what really kind of motivated me to getting back into, you know, working out again. So for those that don't know what the One Punch Man challenge is, it's when you do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and a 10K run every day. But of course I wasn't going to be doing all that. You know, the goal for me was just to get to the point to where I could do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, and 100 sit-ups in a day. And then also, instead of doing a 10K run, just do like a 3-mile walk. And after about a month, I was actually able to do those things. I was able to do, you know, 100 squats, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups all in one day, and also along with the 3-mile walk. So I was pretty proud of myself, and then I continued doing it for like another month after that. But as time went on, I kind of slowly started slipping and stopped working out as much. And that's kind of like my dilemma with working out, is that I'll do it, I'll hit it really hard, and then I'll dip for a while, then I'll get right back into it. So yeah, just not a lot happened in between April and June. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened in between July and the end of the year. Let's go ahead and focus on work first. So at work in July, I actually started taking calls for a number company. Well, before we get into that, back in June, actually, my boss came to me and he asked me like, hey, would you like to do calls from another company? So that way I'd be taking calls from, let's say the main company that I take calls from, we'll call that company A. And let's say he came to me and saying, hey, I would like you to also would you like to also start taking calls for company B? So I'll be taking calls from company A and company B as far as when they call in about their issues that they're having, IT related issues that they're having. And I was like, you know what? No, thank you. I'll just stick to company A for now. But then a month later in July, he came back to me and he asked me like, hey, we could use your help taking calls for company C, which is different from company B. So I was like, you know what? I can't turn you down twice. I'll go ahead and learn how to take calls for company C. So by mid-August, I was taking calls for company A and company C. And I thought, of course, I took one of the main reasons why I took him, said I would do it, is because I thought it would, would show me as a more, valuable employee, that's somebody that he can rely on and all that good stuff. Part of me is glad that I did it, but there's another part of me that's kind of like, man, this kind of sucks. Because, I guess the pros would be because, again, it makes me look good. I'm seen as more of a valuable employee, as more of an asset. If there ever came a time that they kind of started downsizing or anything, hopefully I'm not one of the first to go. And then on top of that, this is something that I can add onto my resume, something else I can add onto my resume that I did at this particular job. But the con is that, I'm doing more work for the same amount of money, and then the fact is that I would still be seen as a valuable employee, even if I never learned how to do company C calls, because we've just lost so many people over the course of this year. There's a lot of people that were there at the beginning of the year, back when I first started, that aren't with the company anymore at this particular time. They just left and gone to do other things. I guess I don't know. And so I'm seen as a valuable employee by just staying with the company. So yeah, those are the pros and cons to that. They implemented a new phone system within like the past month or so. What this phone system is that beforehand, what would happen is that when we would get calls, it would actually ring, and then we would actually hit the answer button. But now it just does beeps once in our ears, and then the call starts, which I hated at first because I like having that, that notice that, hey, ooh, there's a call coming in. You get a couple of seconds, get ready, and then hit the answer button. But again, now it's just one beep in your ear. I hated it, but I've slowly gotten used to it. Another big change was that we can't see our dashboard anymore, which the dashboard kind of showed us like how busy we were, who's on break, who's active, who's able to take calls, who's on a call right now. Am I going to be next in line to take a call? We used to be able to see all that info, but since we switched to this new phone system, we don't see it anymore. And, like I said before, with the other thing with the beeping in the ear, I hated it at first, but I've slowly gotten used to the fact of not being able to see how busy we are. I think the last noteworthy thing to bring up about my job is that they did give me, a new employee bonus not too long ago for being with the company for over 6 months. So I got that little employee bonus, which was nice. And that bonus basically went towards this chair right here. And I absolutely love my chair. So thank you for that employee bonus. Oh yeah, one more thing to mention about work is that I actually had a lot of time, back in I think like late October is when I realized that I had a lot of time, saved up that I needed to use by the end of the year because I just didn't take off work. Like I took off work maybe like once this year for my cousin's wedding, but otherwise I just never took off. So I had a bunch of time saved up that I needed to use before the end of the year because if I don't use it, I lose it. So since like the first week of November, I've been taking off at least 1 day a week, sometimes 2. So every week since then, I've been taking off at least 1 or 2 days a week. And so it's going to be kind of hard to get back used to a normal 5-day work schedule. For example, today's Wednesday, a day that I would normally be working, but I'm taking off because I got to use that time. So moving from work, what was going on in my normal life in between July and the end of the year? If I'm being honest with you guys, not that much because, mainly because of Corona. It's just been pretty much not a very eventful year in my personal life. I believe between July and the end of the year, I got together with my friends just a few times here and there. Most of it was just kind of getting together for birthday occasions. Other times it's been getting together, maybe going out to the mall, maybe a couple of times. But otherwise, I just really haven't hung out with my friends that much. There weren't any big events going on, so just in general, I didn't go out very much. So what else happened? I changed my room around for the first time in forever. I think in October, I actually started getting into collecting manga again. Like I went from just having like a small collection of manga to having like a bookshelf of manga back there, which you can see, and along with some comics too. The reason why I really got into it is that I just saw a couple of videos here on YouTube of people going out doing manga haul videos, and that got me really wanting to get into manga again because it had been like a few years since I had last picked up a manga like physically. So it's like, let me go ahead and get into that again, especially with it being the holiday season. A lot of stuff's going to be on sale. And I ended up buying a bunch of my books from Books A Million because I think they had a buy 2, get 1 free, along with a 15% discounted on top of that. So I went ham. Speaking of going ham and buying stuff, I definitely went ham during this Black Friday season because, I just have saved up so much money this year from, again, not being, not going out that much to, not spending so much money on gas because I'm not going anywhere. So I had a lot of money saved up. So I splurged on myself a bit during this Black Friday season and bought a whole bunch of stuff. You guys probably already saw that I actually uploaded the YouTube videos. Like there's like 3 separate YouTube videos of showing me what I got during this Black Friday season. So go watch those if you haven't. Going back to the manga really quick, if I had to choose like a top 3 that I'm reading right now, I would have to go with Gal Gohan, My Hero Academia, Vigilantes, and A Silent Voice. Let's go ahead and talk about YouTube real quick. Earlier this year, I just really got into this mood of wanting to do a podcast, and I actually did put up 1 podcast episode up this year, and I just kind of fell out of it, honestly. Like I was really into the idea of doing it, but once I got that first one out, my kind of drive to do it just kind of diminished, and on top of that, I kind of wanted like a co-host, somebody I can really bounce off of rather than just be me just talking to my microphone for 20 to 30 minutes. So I wanted somebody to bounce off of, but really couldn't get anybody. So I just went ahead and just let that go. Maybe I might try it again next year. We'll just see if the bug to do a podcast, bites me again. As far as other videos I did this year, I know I did a couple of video game reviews this year that I'm proud of, or that I'm glad I did. It feels good to get my opinions about those games. I think it was on Spider-Man. I did a review on The Last of Us Part 2, and then I did a spoiler review on The Last of Us Part 2. I can't remember if I ever put up my Dead Cells reviews. I'm too lazy to go and look that up at the very moment. I guess the other video that I did a drama video. I think I did 2 technically drama videos that I enjoy doing, get my opinion out on. One was on the Susie Lewin situation. The other one was on Kiss Anime going down. So I actually really enjoy doing those videos. So if they're hopefully, I know I want to do more of those where if there's a topic that I feel really strongly about that I just want to give my opinion on, that hopefully I can just get the motivation to sit down in front of the camera and actually record a video and give my opinion on the situation. Because again, I enjoy doing those types of videos. But my favorite video that I did this year, which hopefully I have uploaded, because I know at this particular moment in time it's not uploaded, and that video is my One Piece video. So hopefully by the time you guys see this, that video is up and that you guys go watch it if you haven't. As far as games go, what did I play between July and the end of the year? I ended up playing, I think, Crash Trilogy, God of War, Resident Evil 5, Moonlighter, Resident Evil 4, Fall Guys, Star Wars Fallen Order, The Evil Within 1 and 2. And as far as those were all on my PlayStation. And what I played on my Switch, I played, I think, Bastion, Transcender. Right now I'm playing Pokemon. I'm like right at the Elite Four. And I feel like there's one other game that I'm missing out on. Oh yeah, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I played the story mode. But if I had to choose a game of the year, it would easy, and I'm going to go ahead and take Smash Brothers off the list because, you know, I just love playing that with friends. But the game I would go, if taking Smash Brothers off the list, my game of the year would have to be, as controversial as it is, The Last of Us Part 2. If you want to get my full opinions on it, go watch my review and my spoiler review. And I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, but I have watched like a lot of anime this year. And in fact, I've rewatched a lot of anime this year too. Like I rewatched, what is it called? Chunibyo. I rewatched Baka and Test. I rewatched Code Geass along with a handful of other anime. Yeah, I think I watched like 50 anime this year. Just to name off a few, I watched Our Regrets Go Season 3, Seven Deadly Sins, the latest season of it, My Hero Season 4, Tower of God, Rent a Girlfriend. So I watched a lot. And but I would say if I had to choose like a top 3, I would go with Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. I don't know why. I just really enjoyed that slice of life with a little bit of rom-com in it. I just really enjoyed that show. I don't know why. ReZero Season 2 and The Great Pretender. And if I had to throw an honorable mention in there, it would be Darwin's Game. And ooh, I actually got a little bit of a dating story for you guys. But I'm going to make it a long story short, mainly because we're over 20 minutes now. And it's not the most interesting story in the world, but I wanted to share it anyway. So, as you guys know, earlier this year I tried getting back into the dating game, but then Corona hit pretty hard, and then I went ahead and stepped out of it, and I've been out of it for a long time, up until around early November, when out of nowhere, my stepfather comes to me. He's like, "Hey, I know this really nice young lady that I would like you to meet. Would you be up for doing that?" And I was like, you know what? Why not? I don't got nothing else better going on, so I'm up for this kind of sort of blind date thing that you're trying to set up for me. But the weird thing is that he set it up as a double date, so it would be like me and her, and then it would be my stepdad and my mom, which would have been super duper weird. So luckily that got canceled. So after the double date was canceled, I reached out to her. I was like, "Hey, let's just do just a normal one-on-one date. What do you say?" And she agreed to that, and we ended up going out, I believe, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And there's a reason why I mentioned that. We met up to eat, and it was just good conversation for a good 2.5 hours. Now, we probably would have sat and chatted even longer, but I believe that restaurants had just went from, you know, being able to have people indoors to them only being able to have outdoor dining. So we were outside, it was getting cold, so that's why we cut the date short. So after I got home after the date, you know, I reached out to her, told her I had a good time, and that, hey, I know you're going to be busy, but if you find yourself with some free time and you want to hang, I'd be down. And she sent me back saying absolutely. So I thought things had went pretty well. And the reason why I said that I know she's going to be busy was because, you know, Thanksgiving was coming up. She's in school, so finals were going to be coming up soon. And then on top of that, she had just bought herself a home. So she was getting that put together. So she was going to be a pretty busy woman. So the ball was kind of in her court because I was going to be pretty free compared to how busy she was going to be. So I didn't really reach out to her for a good 2.5 weeks. I did not say anything, no text, no nothing. And again, the reason why I didn't really hit her up during those 2.5 weeks was because I figured she was going to be busy, and if she had free time, she would reach out to me. But I was wrong. Or maybe she was truly busy. I'm not 100% sure she had any free time in between there to hit me up to go out somewhere. Whatever, I kind of let that go. And so The main thing is that around the 2-week mark, my stepdad actually hit me up like, hey, well, have you hit her up recently? I was like, no. Well, why don't you go ahead and give it a try? So I was like, you know what? Okay. So at the 2.5-week mark, which landed on a Wednesday, I went ahead and hit her up. So I went ahead and texted her. We weren't able to set up a date right then and there, but eventually we were, and we ended up going on a second date, which was also really nice. We went axe throwing, then we got a couple of drinks after and chit-chatted for like a good hour. It was a nice time. I would like to set up a third date with her, but it's probably going to be a while before I'm able to see her again because she went in for surgery actually this past Saturday for her knee. So I'm probably not going to be able to go out with her for, until a few weeks until the new year. But even though I said I would like to go on a third date with her, there are a couple of red flags that have kind of come up. Well, I guess you wouldn't really consider it a red flag, but just something that I've noticed is that I'm always the person that's reaching out to her. Like, she never reaches out to me first. I'm always reaching out to her to, initiate conversation, which kind of sucks. It's like sometimes I want her to reach out to me and be like, hey, what's going on? What's up? But I'm always the one doing that. So there's something to take note of. The other thing that I took note of is that if we're texting each other, she'll just stop replying. Like, we'll be in the middle of a conversation and she'll just stop replying for one reason or another. She won't be like BRB or hey, I gotta go or anything. She will just stop replying. So then I'm kind of stuck in that awkward position of where should I double text her? If I double text her, do I seem needy? Do I just let the conversation die for the day? And what I end up doing is the last option. I just kind of let the conversation die and then I just kind of hit her up whenever I feel like hitting her up again because, she just didn't reply. So those are two things that I got to keep my eye on, but otherwise she's great. So yeah, that was basically my 2020. So let's go ahead and end off this video by talking about my New Year's resolutions, my hopes, my goals, my predictions for 2021. First off, let's go ahead and talk about my weight loss goals. I'm going to make them a bit more, obtainable or realistic. I'm not really sure what's the best word I want to use here, but whatever. The main thing is that by the end of June, I want to be around in between 175 and 185 pounds. As of this very moment on December 26, 2020, I'm sitting at around 202.5 pounds. So that means I got around 20 pounds until I hit my goal in June. And by the end of the year, by the end of December, I want to be somewhere between 160 and 165 pounds. So roughly around 40 pounds overall. I feel like that is a very obtainable goal. If only I just got to stick to the fact of working out on a regular basis and keeping track of what I eat, I should easily be able to hit that goal. My only hiccup right now is that I probably got to wait until around January 15th before I'm able to start losing weight again. Let me explain. It's mainly because of all the events that are happening in such a short period of time. Right, today is like the day after Christmas, so yesterday I definitely stuffed myself, with a good dinner and ate a lot of sweets. And then this coming Wednesday is going to be my birthday, which is December 30th. So I'm probably going to pick out then. And then I'm probably going to go to some type of small get together for New Year's. So I'm probably going to eat then. And then in early January is my dad's birthday and my brother's birthday. So I'm probably going to eat then too. So you guys can see why I probably won't be losing weight until around mid-January. So my goal as of this very moment is just to stay below 205 pounds until mid-January. And then hopefully by the time mid-January hits, I can really start, focusing on losing the weight. Also, I've kind of implemented this punishment system for myself to hopefully that helps me keep on track. And what this kind of punishment system is, that I kind of set a goal for myself at the beginning of the week. And if I don't hit that goal by the following week, then I do some type of punishment on myself. So for example, let's say I'm 195 pounds and I'm like, okay, and I weigh that on a Friday. I'm like, okay, so by next Friday, if I'm not 194 pounds, and then I'm going to double my workout. So let's say I'm going to do twice the amount of time I'm going to spend twice the amount of time on the elliptical or on the treadmill, or do twice as many push-ups or twice as many sit-ups, something like that, something that I don't want to do. So hopefully by seeing that, hey, I don't want to do that punishment, let me go ahead and maybe not eat this certain snack, or maybe eat a smaller portion of this, something to really help me, keep on track. Because the thing is that I can't really have what you would call a reward, because normally a reward would be eating something that I'm not supposed to, that will just throw me off track. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at some photos of myself. Yeah, I'm a big boy, but hopefully these will make for some good before and after pictures this time next year. So let's go ahead and talk about Corona real quick. My hope is that things are at least semi-normal by the middle of the year. By June, July, things are kind of sort of back to normal, but still a bit weird. But my prediction is that things aren't really going to go back to normal until 2022. When it comes to YouTube, I'm trying to decide between just putting out more videos or putting out less videos, but at higher quality, or maybe a little bit of both. Like maybe put out a bit more content that's kind of easy and quick to put out, but then every once in a while put out something that takes me a bit more time. I'm not quite sure. Let's go ahead and talk about dating real quick, and my hope is that I would like to see where things go with this girl, to see if we can actually give things a try. But my prediction is that things probably aren't going to really go anywhere with that. But in just a general sense of things, it just would be nice to find someone that I could call my own. And my last New Year's resolution / goal is to do something that I'm proud of. You know, something that next year when I get on camera, that I'm really excited about getting on camera and talking to you guys about it. Like, hey, you guys, I learned how to do this certain thing. Or, hey, you guys, I got my certification and now that helped me further my career, you know, something like that. You know, that would be really, really nice. So this video has gone on long enough. I really hope that 2021 is a better year. So if you guys like this video, like the video. And if you like me, subscribe to me. And as always, this is DDG the Man. And I'll catch y'all next time.